Hi class, I wanted to give you some video feedback. You'll take these points and you will make sure that you can duplicate your site, but make sure that you have a list that you can refer back to and that you apply the feedback that you're given, all right? So let's just jump right in. I do really like this logo. You will have to update the year regularly, so that's not necessarily evergreen, but not so much an issue. I would bring this up here and close this space, maybe bring that, or wrap it around here. Delete this and move the contact over to the right. I would be very careful about this because it seems that it's on another page. This is great. Make sure that's a Google Voice number and not your personal number. So this seems to be on each page, and there's a setting where you can select whether it's on each page or not. But that's what it appears to be doing, which causes you to have a lot of scrolling to get to the important content. I would close this up. This is a little deep. Make sure this is an actual company. You know, it says it is here. I bring that up because AI tends to make up companies for people. Not a fan of using AI yet for this. You might be able to reduce this size just a little. Make sure, I love this image. Make sure that I would use the same upper lowercase as you have here. All right. But it's got some real strengths. But I think that would be good up here. And if you don't have a company named Bradley Visuals, then go ahead and make sure you register with your state. That's for everybody. So we're not making up companies. There might also be one already called this. You've got to find those things out so you're not in legal hot water. Okay, you have this logo, and that keeps it clean in a way. Maybe a lighter background so that we can see. You know, these aren't as distinguished as this, right? This background helps us see that it's a video. This is linked up, great job. And you have your copyright in the bottom. Okay. So a lot of it is this page here, having to scroll down. This could be a home page, but what you have here is your showcase. But that's not up here. And we want to get into the meat of it immediately. Okay. So that's the situation there, having to scroll down to that. This would be great as just a landing page, but honestly, I think you want it up here. So let's look at your mobile. That's going to tell us a lot. So making sure we don't crop that, and maybe you only put cinematographer or photographer, whichever you have the most work for. I'm going to remove that. And then you might have room for your logo. Okay. And you'll want to put the asset guide under the correct video, right? So we're consistent about where we place that. It's just layout. Contact is going to be dragged down here to the bottom in the pages and menu. A little bit here, but you do have it when we open it, and so that's great. You might want to center that in the mobile. All right, great job. You do have some tweaks. Okay, looking forward to seeing that. All right, next up, let's remove this since we have it up here. It's a little tight and it isn't necessary. You could probably center that button And just be careful about cropping text. You haven't really done that there, but it's close. Okay. Nice, good job. You want to have the same format. So probably this is going to, let's see, you jump into the format here, but you have a thumbnail that's different. So let's see what happened there. Okay, you have it here and it was playing. Okay, and that's going to go. All right, fine. Let's see. Not a fan of having to open a fly menu. Kind of prefer to have it up here so we're not going back and forth. But, you know, if somebody has time, not so bad. Make sure you update this copyright content or this placeholder content. And remove a number that isn't a free Google Voice number. And you're linked up. You can reduce that just a little as far as the height for that. But really close, super close. Yeah. And great image. On your mobile, this is cropped a little much up here. So you'll want to fix that. Let's look at that again. Right. So just a little. But otherwise, easy to read, nice layout, working really well. Okay. Okay. And good job. You might, that might be a little difficult to read, but this week, next week, you'll be looking at accessibility and you'll make adjustments if something isn't clear enough. All right. All right, let's look at one more, maybe two. Okay, we want to be careful not to crop logos, ever, okay? And when we get into mobile, that's going to overlap, okay? So let's be careful about that. If you can reduce what you have here, then that would be best. One of the things that you could think of is use this font with your logo instead of this. Easier to read, and then just have your name and this and cinematographer, because you could be a filmmaker and a cinematographer, and digital cinematographer is kind of it's not assumed, but it's very common. So you just want to streamline this a bit. And this doesn't show us your footer. It's here. Let's close up any space. Again, make sure that if this is your company, that it is registered with the state. All right. So, and I say that because, again, the AI will make up things. Okay. So we can't do that for a number of reasons, but you also have a background image there. You want to go into Wix and go over to your, so letter A with a color drop icon. You want to go to your site design, and when you do that, you'll see the option for the change the background page or the page background, and you'll change that to a color, and the color should be white, and then that will make that invisible and disappear. Okay, you won't have that back there. It's slowing your site down, the fact that it is back there. Make sure that you are working at, let's see, 100% view. And you may want to bring some of this down here, paying attention to the dotted line in your canvas here so that when it reflows to another screen size, we don't lose that. Okay. Otherwise, terrific job. Make sure you've got the same amount of spacing between your work. Okay. But you definitely have the right idea. Okay, so let's look at Okay, good. Now here, be careful, we can't, it's cropped, I think, on your mobile, but we'll see. This needs to be higher contrast, right? Closer to white, left align so we don't get really close. We need a little bit of a buffer here, but great photo, terrific photo, and you're linked up. Okay, so now let's look at the mobile again. See your other pages that you're going to work on. This is not the easiest font to read because it's a serif and it's got that very narrow stroke. So you've got some that are easier. Try and stick with just 2 fonts, one for your headers. Okay. There was an image back there. It might slow your site. I can't look at it to see if it's template or not. I would have to, yeah, I would remove that background image. Remove this, okay, that page in your navigation. Can't really read that very well. And again, you're going to left align all of this and have this much padding throughout. But easy to read, just have a couple things. You don't have to have a lot of social icons, so be careful about that. And close up any gaps. All right. Okay, here you want to make sure you're using the same style and size of font, and also make sure, yeah, that it's legible throughout. So just use one font, right? This is okay. Make sure that, you know, if you wanted to, you could summarize this so it's a little shorter just on your mobile. If you edit your mobile, it's not going to affect your desktop. Editing your desktop will affect your mobile. Make sure you have the same indent, okay, throughout. All right, so there's your list of things to work on, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Okay, all right. Right off the bat, we want to close this up. And let's shorten this to resume if it links to your resume, but it isn't. So instead, change this to about and link this button to your about page. Projects, you call it portfolio up here. So I would be consistent. And you might want to call this contact because it might be shorter, depending on how it reflows and works, resizes in your mobile. You'll want to check that. Make sure you link up to your sites and not Wix. Take this text box and expand it so we don't have it wrapping and cutting like that. You really only need one of these. And in it, what you can do is you can, when you set up your link, when you created the link, you had the opportunity to put in a subject title. You can label that something that helps you realize what, you know, who is contacting you. If you have a lot of Gmail, you know, you could say digital cinematography inquire or something, inquiry. So you could do that. Good job down here with your copyright. You want to close that up. This is also the same content that is over here. So we need to be careful about that. So you might not even need your home page, right? You could possibly make it invisible. That means you would hide it on your pages and menu when you click the 3 dots there. So take out the About Me. That link is not going anywhere. But it's clear otherwise. We need to have content here. You have this. And that's great. Make sure the copy of, I'm not sure if that's a file name or if, you know, be careful about that. You do have a lot of space here, so you might look for one more video. And let's see. there's an issue here, and that is getting back. You need to have navigation. The only way I can get back is to go backwards like that. So you need to have the navigation showing on every page, right? So let's look at your mobile. Okay. Double check and make sure 12, let's see, make sure 12 tribes isn't already used. Chosen, I'm not sure about that, but 12 tribe might be. Make sure that instead of editor, you put cinematographer. Okay, we need to have what you do. And see, now I need to go click the back button. Okay, let's see. Okay, so those are the things. Double check, overlapping. Those are the things you want to check. All right. Okay. Let's see. Make sure you make a bulleted list of those things that you need to update. Okay, good job. We see what you do up here. Everything is here. I think we do need to get into this sooner. Okay, so I would probably crop that and start here. And then this probably should be a button of some sort. I don't, because it's down here like it's a heading, but there's nothing under it. Okay, a little space here, bring this down or crop it a little bit so that we're not so close to that. Great job here, easy to read, professional photo, linked up, good job. Contact works, again, we have that there. I mean, even if it were in a lighter shade where it's not a title, but maybe just an emboss, you know, like it's just slightly darker than the background, that might be okay. Good job. And we have a lot of stacking here. This would typically be your hierarchy. This would be your larger title. And it might be that you want to get your video up here before your description. It might, I know that would change everything. But when you land there, you might want that, you know, you might want to see this first instead of this. So this would move up to under here. Let's look at the mobile. Yeah. Easy to read, great job, great color. Good spacing, consistency. You might want to put your social link in the footer. Yeah, that probably needs to come out, right? It's not working, and close that space up. But otherwise, this is a great page. Okay, we looked at that. Okay, all right. Great job. Really close. All right, we'll look at one more. Okay, I see your name, exactly what you do, a really clear navigation. And that's your video. It's kind of like a sizzle reel. Great job hooked up to socials. You have your copyright. You have a subscription form, which is good. You can always send out, you know, email marketing to them. This, the red, not the biggest fan of that. It's not enough contrast. Maybe something in the white. But otherwise, good. And let's see. When we click on here, you give us some insight. Okay. Okay. This one isn't real sharp and cuts this off. Just something to think about. This truck caught my attention in a good way. You're not overlapping text over, titles and stuff, so that's looking really good. And so let's look at, let's look at the mobile. You want to make sure that's not being cropped. Maybe close out a little bit. It might be a little large for that. You probably need to widen it just a little bit, that text box. Professional photo, meaningful shot of what you do. All right. Okay, well done. Not a lot of edits there, but great job, everybody. I look forward to seeing what you're doing next week. Between now and then, you also have a peer review. You're just going to use the checklist that we give you, copy anything that you think applies to what your peer needs to edit and improve on. That will be your task 1 for 3.1 this week. And so you'll just list the things they need to catch, and then you'll make a video just like the one I made for you. All right, everybody. And of course, it's just for one peer. All right, everybody. Great job. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're doing next week. Have a great afternoon.